get an end to this terrible disease.
Hopefully, we'll see that. I want to ask you, as far as you being a real integral part of the urban planning of our city, and all the contributions that you've made in the carpet side, and I'm sure you've dealt with churches like Six and I.
Yes.
It's a very successful project, and God bless Egg Poland, he was collaborating with you on
Absolutely.
that. Okay, and also want to talk about the Longview, which is a revived gallery. It's a little smaller, right down the street, and now looking at it, I mean, we feel like we're in New York tonight.
Well, Longview and 9th Street will become the hip part of our city because it has the historic structures. And what I believe in is putting them back, and if you could put them back with local businesses like Phil has with Longview, this is what's going to create. This did more for 9th Street than a $1 billion convention center.
Oh, did you hear that?
Yes, this did more for 9th Street than a $1 billion convention.
But I think the convention center certainly is an anchor for the redevelopment of this corridor in a significant way.
But you have to have, around the convention center, you have to have vitality and life. Just as the Verizon Center. Without the vitality and life, it becomes you go inside a convention and walk outside a convention, get in your car and leave. What we really want to have is we want to have streets that are alive. We want people walking in streets.
So I guess you can draw the metaphor between, let's say, a planet and planetoids. You need to have the planetoids to keep the planet going, right?
No different than the malls in the 70s, 60s, and 70s. People went inside the mall, parked their car, and went inside the mall. Well, we want to demall our city. We want people walking around on the outside, not going inside. Going inside to work, but coming outside and walking around and enjoying the vitality of our city. And for that, you have to have a streetscape.
How long did it take for you to kind of put that formula together? I mean, did you know this back in the 70s that this is what you wanted to do? Or was it an evolutionary process where you just kind of figured it out after you trial and error, or both?
It was neither of the above. I was in the retail business when I first came to Washington in 1966. So I understood the vitality of what street life meant as a retailer. So all I did when all the retail had left downtown was made it a campaign of mine and champion the cause to put that retail back because I know the vitality that it once had. And then I started looking at the suburban areas, and I said that the suburban areas were Disneyland, and DC is a 57 Chevy. It's a classical city. So I wanted to restore the 57 Chevy. So that's why I'm here tonight, because it makes me feel good seeing this vitality back here.
Do you have a 57 Chevy?
I have a 57 Chevy.
So that's a coincidence. Now, when you go out to Silver Spring, you see Jemal's Park and Shop, I believe it is, or there's various buildings that have your name on them, right? But, I mean, the big picture, you're not just thinking about D.C. proper. You're thinking about the entire inside the Beltway area. So, I mean, that's an amazing plan to pull all that together.
Well, if I had the wherewith to do it, I think every urban area and every single major city can be revitalized.
Well, that's a lot of work, you know?
Well, that's a lot of work. But I think that if you take a formula that works, like finding a cure, if you take that formula and you keep repeating that because you now have something that works, and it's called urban revitalization, but it takes a lot of heart to do it. I mean, it takes a passion of, a love of your life to put that back together again.
I like the name. Sounds a little bit like a business that I've heard before. But the last question I want to ask you, when you were younger, did you think about James Rouse? James Rouse had a kind of a vision that sounds somewhat compatible to yours. Unfortunately, he passed away. He developed Columbia, Maryland, amongst many other properties, and seemed to have a national or maybe even international vision like yours. I mean, were you ever compared to him, or did you ever think of him?
I always admired him. I never had the pleasure of meeting him. But needless to say, I saw, like everyone else that lives in Washington, saw what he did to Baltimore and the Inner Harbor area and in Columbia, so you can't help but admire a man like that.
Okay, well, you've really made your mark. I also met one of your colleagues, so to speak, and that's Mr. Chip Ackridge, and he's certainly doing a lot. You guys have sort of split up F Street, and successfully. You seem to almost be co-collaborators in some ways. But what we've got is a beautiful combination of historic architecture with some beautiful, strong lines for some of the contemporary pieces that have been done under your purview, and like the Spy Museum and several other retail offerings that you have. We could talk about retail all day. We could talk about the old Woody's building, which has really been an incredible recreation of a classic building. But, you've got so much in your portfolio. I don't even know how you keep up with it yourself.
I just keep going.
There you go. I like that. I like that. Recession schmession, right?
There's no recession.
Okay.
Say things are good, and things will become good. Say things are bad, and things will become bad. And enough people were saying things are bad. Look, the sun is going to shine tomorrow morning. So things are good. We're both standing here, and we're all healthy. Things are good.
So in the end, optimism rules with a good plan.
Got to keeping your chin, strong attitude, and it will get better. We'll come through this.
Okay.
We made some foolish mistakes in the economy. That'll correct itself. It's a great country, and this is the greatest city in the world.
I'm glad you said we. It's a collective struggle that we're going through.
Absolutely.
It's a blissful struggle, though, right?
Right,
okay.
Absolutely.
Speaking of that, there's a lady who knows something about that. She's one of our stars tonight, one of our designers, and I'm so glad the two of you can meet because she's really why you're doing a lot of the things that you're doing, right? So, Audrey, Jemal, I think it's you guys can make beautiful music together.
It was a pleasure. Definitely a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you again.
Which one of which one of your designs are here tonight?
Her name is Jennifer. She has the piece that has that's going across.